Chapter 20. Vision Set. No one knew what was going on. The heroes were quite in a daze as well as shocked as nothing worked out at all. Here they had a child which was in danger and in need of help, and yet no one could do anything at all. Helpless and powerless, that was the only thing to describe this whole situation. The flower above Bakugo's head started withering more and more, and the small petals started to fall all over Bakugo. One even managed to get into his mouth. It was definitely something else. A scene which looked quite odd as well beautiful at the same time. Vlad. We had to get him out of there. Mike. We tried everything. What should we do more? Eraserhead. Try harder. Vlad. You think I am not already? There was this feeling of fright as well as danger that came from these vines that were around Bakugo. It was simply too quiet. The flowers were all red and the roots started to slightly glow as well. Everything was screaming unnatural, and not only that, but it was starting to get more extreme as Bakugo all of a sudden started screaming. The fear was visible on his face as well as the pain. That scream was however not long lasting, as all of a sudden a branch started to grow out of his mouth. At first it was just something small, but the moment the heroes and everyone could see the bark of that small branch, everything was already over. In an instant a tree started to grow out of the small petal that he had ingested earlier. Not only was it growing the moment it landed in his stomach, but it was also eating at the organs served as nutritions, and it was not only starting to consume the organs but also grow around them. It didn't take long for Bakugo to feel the stomach ache first. Next up were his lungs, which made it hard to continue screaming. After that, while Bakugo was barely awake and alive, the roots of the tree that was growing within him started to squeeze his heart until it bursted and was consumed completely. While this was going on, a small branch made its way back up his throat to emerge and start to blossom once it was outside. It all took just a couple of minutes, but it must have felt like hours to the poor child held hostage. A tree was literally growing inside of him until Bakugo became the tree. A red blossoming cherry tree grew out of Bakugo with his bones around the tree's bark. Flesh was by now dripping and shedding off the tree, while there was not a single drop of blood left at all. All the heroes could do was watch in horror as this happened. The children all were watching Bakugo's transformation until the very end. Some have by now fell to the ground and tried to run away, while the others were too scared to move at all. In the meantime, they were all watched and served by a quirk which could have been villain through and through. It felt satisfied as it just has nurtured himself by the flesh and the blood of its victim. Not only did it feel a lot better now, but also a lot more refreshed. It was acting on its own, however it was not about to do anything that would harm his very own child, Izuku. On the other hand, it felt as if it needed to get closer and have the child for itself. After all, the world was such a cruel place, and all it wanted was for Izuku to be safe. Izuku's pav. I felt really dizzy when I woke up, but the thing that woke me up more was the pure fact of screams going on. What happened? The ground felt a lot softer to me, and the grass in my hand felt so refreshing that I netted a bit to come to my senses. Of course I could see the sky and feel the wind around me. However, I really couldn't remember how I got out at all. My nose. I had a nosebleed. Sitting up, I carefully touched my nose to realize that my nose bleeding stopped, but while sitting up, I started to realize that things were quite not what they should be. First off, we were outside. Second off, there was a tree that had bones around it. A rib cage to be precise, and not only that, but there were some more things around, but I couldn't really see what it was as the heroes were standing in the way. Protected. Rest. When I heard the voice in my head, I don't know why, but I started looking around till I actually saw this tree again. I think it was my friend, but I couldn't really say anything for sure at all. It was just standing there watching over us. No, watching over me. Eraserhead. Izuku. It was only after Eraserhead touched my shoulder that I realized that he was right next to me. It seems as if he had turned around and came to me at one point, but I so didn't realize that at all. Me. Huh? Eraserhead. What are you focusing on? Me. I feel a bit dizzy. Eraserhead. It okay. We will have recovery girl watch over you. Me. Okay. Why did it feel like this tree wanted me to come over to it? I don't know why I felt like walking over there, but right now, I couldn't at all. I still felt dizzy and I really couldn't comprehend anything at all right now. Eraserhead. Did you see anything there? Me. I don't know. Eraserhead. You don't know? Me. No. I let Eraserhead pick me up so he could carry me over to Archie's place.